Hello and welcome to ILTV's Evening Update. I'm Aaron Porras here with the latest news from Israel. Coalition members are now pushing for a new settlement to house those left homeless by the Amona demolition in early February. Yesterday, Agriculture Minister Uri Ariel of the right-wing Jewish Home Party publicized a letter calling on the Benjamin Regional Council to find a suitable location for a new settlement. He also called on the Treasury Department to transfer 70 million shekels, or $19 million, to the council within 7 days, allowing it to finalize construction plans for a new settlement. 3 months ago, Prime Minister Netanyahu had promised Amona residents that he would build the first settlement in the West Bank in 25 years, and that construction would begin no later than the end of March. However, under pressure from the Trump administration, Netanyahu has delayed settlement construction in the West Bank indefinitely. Amona had been demolished because the Israeli High Court had found that the outpost had been built on privately owned Palestinian land. According to the deal, the new settlement was supposed to be set up within 2 months of the evacuation. The residents had agreed to move to the unauthorized outpost of Geulat Zion that had been built on state-owned land in the Shiloh settlement block. Minister of Defense Avigdor Lieberman warned of an immediate crisis with the Trump administration if Israel were to annex the West Bank. Lieberman states that Israel should clarify that it has no intention of imposing Israeli law on the occupied territory. This comes just hours after Knesset member MK Miki Zohar from Likud had said that Israel should co-opt the West Bank, but that Palestinians should only be given the right to vote if they first serve in the Israeli army. Lieberman went on to say that world leaders had been calling him to clarify Israel's position in regards to the West Bank, and was quoted as saying, quote, "As far as my opinion is concerned, we need to separate from the Palestinians and not to integrate them. The decision to annex Judea and Samaria would mean the integration of 2.7 million Palestinians in Israel," end quote. He went on to remind the public that annexing the West Bank meant that Palestinians would have to receive Israeli residency status. Lieberman claims that from day one, this would cost the state 20 billion shekels just from the National Insurance Institute, which would have to provide unemployment benefits, maternity allowances, and other payments to Palestinians in the territory. A UN report, citing Israeli annexation, urges companies to suspend all business ties that they may have in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. The Israeli news site Ynet discovered that a draft of the report, due to be published by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, describes Israeli activity in the West Bank as a unilateral move towards annexation. The report emphasizes the need for humanitarian aid for Palestinians, as well as calling for companies to sever ties with West Bank settlements. The report notes that the year marks 50 years since the Six-Day War and the subsequent occupation of the West Bank. It also states that Israel's activities in the West Bank have led to a continuous settler growth and a unilateral takeover of widespread areas of Palestinian land in opposition to international law. The report goes on to state that Israel's actions have dire effects on Palestinian human rights in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Additionally, the report mentions concerns over Israel's plans to erect a national park at the occupied Hermon over towns in the Golan Heights, and criticizes Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for saying that Israel will never relinquish control of the Golan. Tel Aviv traffic was that much more congested today, as major closures and jams were reported due to the closing of Tel Aviv's Hashalom station, caused by construction on the new Tel Aviv light rail line. In efforts to ease the jams, the Ministry of Transportation and Israeli Railways offered free shuttles and buses between several stations in Tel Aviv, mostly between the Arlozorov station and Ben Gurion Airport, where free buses will be operating all day. In addition, alternatively routed trains and shuttles will ferry people around Tel Aviv to and from the Naharia and Beersheva regions, and monthly or annual travel pass holders will be automatically issued compensation through ticketing machines until May 10th. The Tel Aviv metro area light rail system, which caused the closures, is set to open at least in part by 2021. The first line to open is slated to be the Red Line, which will have 33 stops across about 10 kilometers in length, and will be built both above and below ground, and is expected to be utilized by over 100 million people annually. The opening game of the World Baseball Classic held in Seoul, South Korea today is going to be played between Israel and the tournament's host country of South Korea. Both opening night games will be fought by the representatives of the Jewish national state, and the second game will be versus Chinese Taipei. The Israeli team, comprised mostly of Jewish Americans, most of whom have played either in the major and/or minor leagues, first qualified for the tournament back in September when the 28-man team crushed the teams of Great Britain and Brazil in the qualifiers. The American players are eligible to play for Israel since the introduction of a rule stating that anyone eligible for citizenship in that country is eligible to play for that country's team. We wish the Israeli team good luck in the upcoming tournament. That's all for now. Stay tuned on ILTV.tv for our main daily broadcast playing after this. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you next time with our morning briefing from Israel at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.